And now I'm going to start the video of tearing it down. First will be the clutch. See, if I didn't have the penny in there, if I turn that to try and take it off, the full thing just turns. So you've got to put a penny in between that cog and the cog on the back of the clutch basket. Lock it in and it keeps all that still. And I've got the penny in there locked now. I'll just get that one off. It'll stop the clutch basket from moving. That's that one slack. So I'm going to go around and take all the other ones off. So I've got the clutch up on here now. The first bit of this video was when my medication was kicking in last night. I was starting to feel sleepy. Anyway, all these I slackened all these last night. That's just the springs for the 5 little nuts. This just pops off. And that's it there. See, that's how I have them set, where it's all flush. There'll be a ball bearing in there, and you pull these off, and we'll see if the clutch is set. The second plate up. The second plate up should have a smaller diameter than that. So that's the first plate. That should have a damper ring inside as well. That's just the same. They're all just the same. There's no thin one. And it hasn't got a damper ring in either. So we'll need a damper ring and a clutch plate, the thinner clutch plate, what the damper ring fits in on when you put them on the second way on. Clutch is grooved, but it's not that bad. So I'll get a chisel in there, knock that tab back, then get this bolt off. We'll just have to put a penny in between these cogs to lock it. And just as I was about to move them, it has got that ring on. If you see that ring compared to that ring, you can see how the difference in them. The damper ring fits inside this one. Anyway, I'll just put them out the way. So that's the little tab bang back. I've put the clutch holding tool on, because if you try to get that nut, off, this full thing just turns forever and ever. Get this off. That's the nut off. That's the tool there. Just like this off. There'll be a big washer behind. Always check behind clutch baskets and clutch bosses when you're taking off. There's the big spline washer. And when I take this off, there'll be a little washer. Always check on the back of your clutch basket when you take it off, because it sometimes sticks on. It's got that one. But it's got that little one on there. Let's get the pick in. That's the fin washer there. It's concaved. Just put that with a clutch. And I've banged that washer tab back as well on that nut. So now get a penny. Take this one off first. Penny goes in the top one on this one. Just if you wedge your screwdriver in there, screwdrivers are metal. This metal is stronger than what a penny is, so it just bends it. If you put a screwdriver in, you could snap your gears. Anyway, it just comes off anti-clockwise. That's it. That's the nut. There'll be a big spacer and a washer. That's the big spacer. There's one on the flywheel. That's the primary drive. Just make sure that's all alright. You can see that mark round there. That's where this baffler plate, once over, has come off and went up there. Because when that's on the bike, I'll show one. I'll just take this. There's a little woodruff key in there. There's two in this side of the engine. There's one in here as well. But there's one of them. When that fits on that way. And if the baffler plate, you can see it's been a new baffler plate. Normally people snap this bolt. If this comes up and that's like it's in line with that, that's what that weighs on the primary drive. So this has been broke once before. Hopefully it comes off alright. So now we'll get this nut off. Just put the penny in the bottom, and this comes off anti-clockwise as well. That's that one off. That's the nut. Take the tab off. Take the penny out. Slide that off. There's the black washer at the back, which it didn't have one on the front. What I showed at the beginning of the video, what I done last night. I'll just pop this cog off now. That's for the balancer shaft, but it seems to be on tight. That's not. That's there's the woodruff key. You can see it's got milky oil on it, like a big blob on the end. Big blob inside. Don't know if that's a bit metal. No, it's just a bit muck. But that's where it goes anyway, that little square one. Like I say, there's two in this side of the engine. I'll have to clean that. I'll put it in there with a clutch. Now pull the kickstart shaft off. Just pull that spring. Keep hold of this steady. Pull that spring out the casing slowly. Just pull it out fast. It springs around. Look with your fingers. And just let it drop round like that. It all should just pull out. That's the kickstart shaft. Look at that milky oil on the back of it. Back on there. Now we'll get the baffler plate off and this cog. Hopefully this comes off for no trouble. So tilt it over. I'll get them two screws out. And what I normally do if I can is take this bolt out of the baffler plate completely and just slacken this one, then the baffler plate moves down and you can slip that cog over instead of trying to take this nut out, because the head is a tiny bit screwed. When I put the bit in, you can feel the movement on that, but this one is a brand new screw. It's even a different colour, so that'll be easy to get off, but I don't know about this. But we'll get it off anyway. So that one come out easy. I didn't pack that one, but I've left it in. This is what I was meaning, to move it down. You can just move it down like that and slide this sprocket off. Just put that baffler plate back on. Now we'll pull the gear shaft through. Just pulls through, just twist it as you turn it. There's the gear shaft. It's all working okay. Now we'll get the kickstart idler cog off. Two circlips and two little washers. I'll just go and get my circlips. There's one circlip, then the beer washer, then the kickstart idler cog goes on that way. It's flat on there. There's the washer on the back. So there's two washers. Then there's a circlip there as well. So you've got two washers and two circlips on your kickstart idler. I'll get that 10mm tensioner off. That's the tensioner off. That's the bolt with a little step in it. That's the arm. That's the spring. I'll show how it goes on replacement. We'll just put that nut back in there. We'll get that off as well, and then we'll move on the other side. That's that off. Just looks like that. A big bolt, we'll put the bolt back in. Now we're finished on this side, so we'll spin it round and we'll get all the case bolts out. And these ones in here, I don't know if you can see on camera, but somebody's been in before. That's how rounded that one is. That one's not too bad. That's all the case balls out. There's a collar on the front spotter. Just pull that off. It looks like that. It's the same on both sides. Now we'll tilt it back over, get the crank splitter on, and pull this top casing off. So we'll get it like that. Get the crank splitter on now and lift this top half off. I've just spotted that. Just as I look there, as I turned the engine over, I don't know what that is. It's like an Allen key. It's like you could fit an Allen key in it, I think. So that's the crank tool on. Just gonna lift this top casing up. Might have to get the rubber mallet and tap on the front spotted shaft, because normally the front end splits first, but you'll see it split. You see it split here first. Normally hear crack when it splits. That's it there, it's the crack. Just always keep tapping the back sprocket. And that's it off. I've just felt it tap that a bit. And that's the top end off of the casing. Couple of scratches there and there. And there's all the milky oil and stuff. But everything seems to be alright. There's that little black nut. There it is there, like a screw. But anyway, that's the casing off. Now I'll take the gearbox out. There should be two of these guide rods. The other one for this selector fork here is still in that casing I've just took off. So now we'll get the gearbox out. It just bangs out all as one. This balancer shaft just slides out as well. Just put the nut back on. That's where the little woodruff key goes, would come out of it. And take that nut off there, what I put back on, just to protect the threads. And then on here, you can see, you make sure that that is lined up with the notches behind it. If it's lined up like that, like hitting over the silver there, and you try to bang the gearbox through and not come out. So you need it like that, so it slides through. So we'll just bang it through now. Make sure that keeps still. That's the gearbox. It'll slide out now. That's it. There's the guide rod, it's got a circle up on there. There's one gear shaft. Just make sure they move alright. Make sure they're not weird them. There'll be one what moves on this shaft, which is that, and it's moving alright. Just always check for wear on them, because if they're smooth, when your bike's running, that's locking like that. But if they're smoothed over, it just jumps out of gear like that. I'll show it back like that on this. There, if those were to be rounded, so it's hitting there and gripping. If those were to be rounded, it would just grip and go like that. and not grip again, and just because of this rounded bit on the air, it would just go over, and that's why bikes jump out of gear when these wear down, but that's alright. So the full gearbox is alright. Crank might pull out, and it has easy. So there's the other side. No damage to it, no way. None on the bottom, which is important. A couple of scratches at the top, that doesn't matter. There's the crank. Bearings alright, there's no play at all, like I said in the last video, there's no even side to side play. With them shims look alright. But anyway, that's the engine stripped. So thanks for watching. Next video we'll be putting the main bearings in, just it's too late to bang on now. Alright, thanks for watching.